If everybody's jumping off a bridge, should you do it too? Of course not. But what if you're living in a society where everybody's deceiving each other? Should you do it too? Let's consider. Hello, philosophers. I'm Chico. Welcome to the Philosopher Show, where we consider the greatest questions of human history. Recently, we've been talking about cultural relativism. And just for a little recap, here's the view. It's an ethical view that says that what is good is whatever is socially acceptable. In other words, the culture defines what is good and what is not good. So when I am to say what you just did was a bad thing to do, I mean bad in a specific context. Bad because you are in a specific culture. And that's the only thing that can be bad or good. There's no good or bad overall. And in the last video, I gave you a few reasons to think that this view might be plausible. For example, you're respecting other people's cultures, right? You're respecting the cultures defining themselves and saying, this is how we do things here. Also, I think that you are respecting the plight of the individual in the culture. So, for example, I once heard of a society, and I can't recall where it was, where everybody cheated on their taxes, and the government just assumed you were going to cheat on your taxes, and for that reason, the taxes were astronomical, so you had to cheat on your taxes. Now, imagine being a person in that society. Are we really going to judge that person? Are we going to say, you should have paid all of your taxes, 100% of your taxes, because that's the right thing to do, when everybody in that society cheats on their taxes, where they couldn't make ends meet if they didn't cheat on their taxes? It seems like that's asking a lot for them, right? Well, on cultural relativism, we don't have to do that. On cultural relativism, we can say, yeah, well, you're in that culture where they all cheat on their taxes, so it's okay in that culture. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk about two reasons to think that this is not a good view, two objections to this view. The first objection we have is that it fails the Hitler test. Now, if you don't remember what the Hitler test is, you can see my video on that. I'll link in the description. Basically, what this says is that we're looking at the worst possible thing, right? The thing that we can think of as the most awful thing you can do. Can your ethical system say that you shouldn't do that thing? Now, think about cultural relativism. It says whatever the culture says is good is the good thing. But now let's say you're living in Nazi Germany. The good thing to do would be to commit genocide. That's the socially acceptable thing, let's say. Now, one possible response to this objection is that's not historically accurate. That's not exactly what, the society wasn't everybody is Nazi forever, everybody is for the final solution. To be honest, I don't have the historical chops to debate that one way or another. And it's not really important in this objection. My point here is more that you could imagine a society in which this is culturally acceptable, something so horrific. And in that society, can you say that that would be the wrong thing to do? If you can't, then it seems like that your ethical system is failing some major aspect of what we want. We want to be able to say you should avoid that worst thing possible. So whether or not the actual Nazi Germany would fail this test, the hypothetical country would not be able to say that this is the wrong thing to do with this ethical system, so it's probably not a good ethical system. The second objection is an objection to some sort of weirdness, right? It leads to a weird conclusion, even though it's not necessarily, a knockdown argument. And here's where it is. Imagine in our culture, it were immoral to believe in cultural relativism. It was immoral for us to look at a different culture and say, well, those people over there, they're living in their culture and it's right for them to do this, but in our culture, it's wrong for us to do that. Let's say that our culture said that's an immoral stance. Here's what's really weird. If cultural relativism is true, then according to cultural relativism, we should believe in this society that it's false, right? We should have an actual false belief about cultural relativism, even though cultural relativism is actually true, if it's true, obviously. So that's a weird result, right? It's not exactly a contradiction, right? It's not saying that cultural relativism is both true and false. It's saying even if cultural relativism is true, it would lead us to morally accept that it's false in some situations. That's something, it seems weird, right? We wouldn't expect our ethical system to come up with a result like that. So there's a second reason we might want to object to cultural relativism. I have a few more that I'll do in the classroom, so if you're interested in a little bit more of the nitty-gritty details, then check out the playlist that's going to come in at the end of the video. But remember, like I always say, the best philosophy happens in dialogue. So hit me up in the comments with your questions, with what you think. Do you have responses to these objections? Do you have additional objections? Also, please like, comment, and please tag a friend so that they can enjoy this conversation as well, so they can join in. That'd be awesome. That's all I got for today. Adios.